buddy? Good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited. Let's come on in.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey guys, welcome to Food and Real Estate, where, as you know, I enjoy cooking and I also enjoy real estate because one feeds the soul, the other one feeds the bank account, right? And it's not for me, it's for everybody else. So today we have with us very special guests, Dennis and Pam. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to come in here and cook for you guys.
I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to eat. What do you got?
So we're cooking chicken tikka masala today.
Cool.
Have you guys had it before?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it smells really good in here right now.
All right, we're ready to get started?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is this one on?
It's the bigger one. Yeah, no, next one. That one.
That's the rear, this is the front.
The front.
Oh, sorry.
And it cooks hot, like fast.
Well, it's gas. So I think it's outlawed now in most states.
Gases?
Yeah, you can be smart. Smart.
Actually, it's going to be outlawed here in Washington State.
They're
They're going to quit building houses with gas.
What?
That's
Well, it's a thing.
Environmental.
It's a rumor right now.
I just don't. I don't understand it.
Me neither.
I want to smell. Oh, it smells so good.
So this is a mixture of like dry spices where we'll let it cook throughout when we're sauteing everything. But once I'm done sauteing, before I add the chicken, I want to take them out. Because me personally, I don't like them because as I bite on them, then they're like very, very powerful, potent flavor. And then it kind of like, for me, ruins the flavor of everything else.
So like lemongrass or something.
Yeah. So I want them in there, but then I don't want them in there throughout.
Got it.
Right? So Dennis.
Yes, sir.
So what do I gotta do to get a house like this? Like who do I gotta rob? Which bank do I rob?
Well, you're young still.
Right.
By the time you're my age, you'll have a house like this.
Okay. All right. I got a little while to go then.
Yeah, you got a long ways to go.
I got a little different perspective, which is make some money, make a lot of it, reinvest it, don't spend it,
Keep reinvesting it.
keep reinvesting it, and then at some point in time, you can decide where you want to spend the money that you've earned and reinvested over time.
And then you guys are in real estate, right?
Yes.
That's been your role. Have you invested in stocks or anything else, or just in real
We
estate?
do have some, like IRAs and stuff, but it's not the majority of where we make our money.
How long have you guys been in business?
I started in real estate when I was 20, I think I was 28. I may have been 27, but I think I was 28.
Been a while.
Yeah, I'll be 65 next week.
I would have guessed you were like in the high 40s.
That's a good one.
You haven't heard of that before?
No.
Really?
No. Pam's heard it plenty of times. I've never heard it.
Because I would get Chris's in the same age.
Perfect, yeah.
Right?
They do look a lot alike.
They do look a lot alike, and that's like, are you guys related or something? So, what are you guys' favorite things to cook?
Steak. I'm pretty good on a Traeger, so kind of a smoker barbecue. Fillets, always fillets. It's always my go-to steak every time.
Do you have your own rub, or you just use salt and pepper?
Salt and pepper. A little bit of some herbs that go over the top, but not a lot.
Huh. What about you, Pam?
I like a family meal. Like, it's not a one thing I like to cook, but I like to cook for people, for the family, and make it special, different little things. But if I cook something, it's going to be for people or for the family. And mostly he cooks for me.
So mainly that means she doesn't cook a lot.
Yeah, it's what that means. He cooks for me. I have to be home at a certain time every night,
Right.
or dinner's cold, and then I'm in trouble. Dinner gets cold, I'm in trouble.
She's never in trouble until she says she's on her way, and then she's really not.
That's I've been there.
Oh,
I've been there.
drives you nuts.
It's just crazy. I'm like, oh, I'm on the way, and then you're like, where are you? Like, oh, I'm just leaving the office.
Still at the
You're
office.
still at the office. You're not on the
It's
way.
happened. It's happened. As a matter of fact, if he can't get a hold of me to say where are you, he'll start calling the rest of the team at the office to find out where I
Yep.
am, and then they have to come and find me, and they have to usher me out the door.
Right.
Yeah, that happens.
There's
So
nothing
that's-
worse than cooking for somebody and then it just sitting there, getting cold.
You call me next time. I'll be here.
I know. I will.
Yeah. So okay, so what are you doing right now?
So we're just waiting for this to saute a little bit. So the cinnamon sticks, as it gets hot, they will start to open. And that's my cue. Like, hey, okay, we're ready.
Is
and I can bring
It's
in.
in water, I'm assuming.
No, it's in oil.
Oh, in oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in oil.
And then you're gonna dump all that
Oh,
in
hold
there?
on. What is that?
So this is red onions and garlic.
Nice.
So once that's ready, we're
That's a
gonna.
lot of red onions and garlic.
Yes. This is where you're gonna get all the flavor.
It's gonna start smelling good.
Oh man, it smells so good.
It's
It smells really good.
it's just onions, right? And you're like, how can they smell that good? But it's all the spices that are in there that's doing the work.
Guru, how long have you been cooking?
This is 2024. So I would say 2017, 2018 is when I first started cooking. And I didn't want to cook. Like, I think when I got my real estate license, our family also bought a restaurant. So we were in partnership with the chef that was in the restaurant. So I was just bussing tables, taking orders and that kind of stuff. My dad used to man the oven, and then he was on the curry side. And so my sister and my mom would go there all the time. So this guy would, in the middle of the day, just started leaving.
What?
Yeah, he would leave. He was like, I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm in Seattle. I'm like, I got customers here that needs to be served, right? Like, if the buffet is on, it's a different story. You can keep doing
Right.
it, but if it's a special order, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So one time I called him, the buffet was done, and then he's out in Seattle. So this customer comes in, and he orders a mulligatawny soup.
Don't know what that is. but
Exactly.
It sounds complicated.
I didn't even know what that was, right? I didn't even know what that was. I'm like, how do I do this? Like, he already ordered. I can't tell him. I don't have my chef in the kitchen.
Did you Google it?
Nope. I pull up the menu. I'm like, how hard can this be? I pull up the menu and I read what is in there. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Grab a pan, a little bit of oil. I put garlic and ginger, right? I made sure that one was ready. And then I go grab chicken stock. The chicken was already pre-cooked. I grab it. I dice it into very small pieces. I grab the veggies. I put all together in the pan. And my whole idea was I can see that the broth and the curry from the chicken are separate when you put it in there. I'm like, I'm going to cook this until they're all together. So I cooked that until it was all together. Pinch of salt. I grab a small bowl. I put it in there. And I put a little bit of cilantro on the top. And I'm like, Dad, either we're going to make it today or we're closing the doors. Like, something is happening. I serve him. I go back in the kitchen. I'm sweating. I go back out there. And as soon as I get there, he's like, the whole thing is empty. I was like, how's the food? He's like, I've been in New York. I've been to Texas. I've been all over the place. He's like, by far, this is the best mulligatawny soup he's ever had.
Wow.
I go back to the kitchen. I tell Dad, we're good. Like, anything comes through the door right now, we're fine.
We're gonna make it.
We're making. So I learned all the rest of the dishes by reading from what was there. And then, of course, my sister helped and Mom helped. And then it was off to the races from then.
Did you cook when you were younger?
No, I did not.
Well, better question is, did you fire the guy that was supposed to be?
But yeah, we bought him out.
Good.
We had to buy him out. And then after all that, and then I had to make a decision either to keep running the restaurant or I need to come to real estate because I couldn't do both at the same time. And I told him, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't, because if I want to run the restaurant, I need to be outside the restaurant. I can't run it if I'm in the restaurant.
Right.
And they wanted to run it. I gave them 4 months max. I said, you're going to call me in 4 months and you're going to like, we can't do this. 2 months later, my sister calls me at like 5 in the afternoon and she's like,
We can't do this.
I can't do this anymore. And I said, well, then close the doors and come back home. She's like, in the middle of the afternoon. I was like, you just said you can't do it, then why are you there? She put a notice up there, closed the door, told the neighbor, came back home. Next day, I think by noon, we had an offer to buy the restaurant.
Nice.
And the next 2 days, we just sold it.
I love that story. I love that story so much because you made a decision. And that's usually how it has to happen, right? Somebody has to make a decision so that something different can happen.
Right.
Yeah, so I
If
love
you're
that
stuck
story.
not making a decision, nothing happens.
You made a decision, right? Which is
Yes.
you didn't make a decision.
Yes.
So I just had to, I'm like, I can't, like, I think I peered into the future. I'm like, I'm not going to be stuck here in a restaurant for the rest of my life. That's not what I signed up for.
Yep.
You know, and I left my retail job saying the same thing. I don't want to be stuck in the store forever. And then I left. And then, 2 months later, we closed it. And the funny thing is, the guy who bought it eventually ended up selling it, which I helped him, to a Mexican restaurant, and it turned that Indian restaurant into a Mexican restaurant. I ended up helping him sell his house, and he ended up moving states. And then he gave me 1 or 2 other referrals, which I ended up closing.
Nice. So it was all worthwhile in the end.
Yes, but it was like, from where you started, you have no idea how people are going to come into your life, what are they going to do, and then,
Well, the fun thing about it is that you're like still cooking, so you must find some joy in cooking.
Oh, I mean, I think I had one of the best times when I was in the restaurant. To just give food to somebody, and then I didn't care if that, how much they're gonna pay, but just to watch them eat, and they're like smiling, and they're having a good time. That was it.
Yeah, I kind of hear that's your thing. You like to give food.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just, I don't know, it just brings me joy. Watch people eat, and yeah.
It's really a key thing too. In the past, we were faced with some business decisions that we had to make. And so typically when we have in that kind of predicament, we seek some wiser counsel, people who have, done more than us.
Right.
And so we did that, and we called a friend of ours, DR, and he asked Dennis around this other business that we had, does it bring you joy? And Dennis said no. And he said, sell it. And, about 2 weeks later, we were on our deck drinking some wine and decided to sell it. And within 2 weeks after that,
I didn't put it up for sale,
No.
but I made a decision. I was going to sell it. 2 weeks later, I get a call out of nowhere. I talked to this guy 7 years earlier who wanted to buy it from me, but he didn't have any money at the time.
Wow.
And he called up and he goes, "Do you remember me?" I said, "Yeah, I remember you." He goes,
Right.
"Well, I didn't have any money back then, but I do now. Would you consider selling?" I said, "Man, your timing is unbelievable."
Isn't it funny how that works out sometimes?
Yeah.
Like you manifest something, and just right there and then it just
right
happens.
there and then. And I think it starts with the decision,
Yeah,
right?
It has to. Yeah.
And
right.
so I like that you brought joy into it, because that was the question we were asked, does that bring you joy? And if it doesn't bring you joy, then, stop doing it.
My exact words were, "It sucks the life out of me."
That's-
Not kidding.
What was it?
It was a metal finishing company. It was not me. Yeah.
That's all right. So these are now crushed.
Okay, let's smell that. Oh. Oh,
No,
man.
These are coriander seeds.
They smell so good. They're like perfumey kind of.
Mm-hmm. So I did put them in the chicken already when I marinated it. So, but we also want some of it cooked, so it gives you flavors on both sides. And then with the dried spices, the same thing. I have them in the marination, but then we're gonna put them to cook too. So you don't want them fully uncooked because you're not gonna taste them as they are. So they're not marinated into the chicken, so they'll cook along with it too, but not as much as when we put it before the chicken goes in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there's spices for the chicken, and then we put spices for the saute we're creating.
Got it.
That way there's enough for everything that we're putting in. Otherwise, one thing is going to overpower the other, and then it's just like chaos. I know. It's
Food chaos.
food chaos. I don't like it.
So I'm so curious about, how the two things came together in your mind to make you want to do what we're doing tonight. Like, how'd that happen?
Yeah, how did this come about?
Yeah.
So during COVID, I started shooting videos cooking food, and then I started putting them on YouTube. And then I started putting like small clips online, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, that's great! And make more videos, do this, do that." But then I was, we were busy with real estate. I only had so much time that I could give to. But then, so I was thinking in the back of my mind, I want to do something with food. I want to maybe open a restaurant later. Maybe I want to open a very high-end restaurant, like one-page menu, only open from like 4 p.m. to like 10 p.m. Only open like 4 days a week. But then eventually I was trying to figure out how to put these two together. Then I'm like, why don't I just cook food I already cook, and then I talk about real estate?
Simple.
It was just simple.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make videos, but everybody's doing videos on real estate. Do this, do that. And
Right.
I'm like, well, that's just boring. Just sitting here talking, and then, nobody wants to watch that. Maybe somebody will watch it for like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then somebody's going to zone out. So then I'm like, what if I put it together, and now you're learning a recipe maybe, and then you're eating food that you have not eaten before, and you're also talking about real estate.
I think you should open a speakeasy
Really?
where there is no menu. You just decide what you're cooking.
I like that too.
I love it.
I'm
And it's
on
only
purpose.
open, 5 till 9,
Right.
and reservations only.
Yes.
Only room for maybe 15 people
Right.
or 20 people, or enough to make it worthwhile, but also a high end, where they're spending like $2.50 a plate.
Right. I think I heard about a restaurant like that where this guy opens it for 4 or 5 hours a day. There's no menu. He does a whole 5-course meal. You don't get to pick what you're gonna eat.
Yeah.
Whatever he serves is what you're gonna eat.
Yep.
And yeah, I like that concept.
We went to a place here in Gig Harbor like that. It was Anna Marion, it was called, and I don't know if they're still open. I'm not sure, but it was delicious. Yeah. There's also a place downtown Seattle by Lake Union, an Italian place that they don't have a menu.
I like that.
Yeah, you just go in and he goes, "Okay, you allergic to anything?" "No."
Good.
"Okay."
Yeah.
"Great." And he
And
starts bringing food, family
Yeah.
style. Yeah,
I like it.
It's pretty fantastic. Plus, he's conversational. Like this is good.
He's
I
the
like
chef.
this.
Maybe I should do it like once a quarter kind of thing.
There
Yeah,
you go.
maybe.
Start it out and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll put in ginger, put in some Thai chili, and we put in some tomatoes.
Okay.
Because as the onions are getting browner, then we want to stop the whole process, pause that, and then now we add all that. So then the heat separated
Cools
out.
it cools it
cools
down.
it down. So
Yeah.
it kind of slows it.
Okay, so you don't have a cooking background, so how do you know that?
By cooking.
Okay. Okay. I mean, was there a recipe that told you that in the beginning, or did you just learn that?
I just learned it. It was just like figuring it out. Like, mom's like, hey, we don't put this now, we put it later. And then you're like, why would you not put it? Like, if my dad's cooking, he will put everything together all at once. Everything. And then he'll let it cook. So he's like, by the time the chicken's gonna cook, the onion's gonna be ready, everything's gonna be ready. Which is a great way to cook anyway if you want to save time. But I think it just leaves the flavor out.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because you haven't cooked the onions long enough, you haven't cooked everything ginger garlic long enough, and then everything is not infused properly.
Right.
But he's a lazy guy. He just wants to get to the end as soon as he can. So he figured it out. I mean, he's been cooking for 20 years, so you get to know your shortcuts.
Yep.
Right.
Well, I love that you're using the kitchen and the big stove because, it's just us two, so we don't cook that much. And all this good
You don't cook hardly ever.
all this stuff in the
You
kitchen.
gotta stop it.
I know you're being mean to me. Don't be mean. But I do love that he cooks for me, honestly, because I don't have to think about that part of life anymore.
Perfect, isn't it?
Oh, you do get in a rut when you cook your own food because you have like 5 or 6 main things that you do, and then it's like, okay, let's start over.
Right.
Same
right,
5 or
right,
6
right,
meals.
Right. It's just the same thing. Me too. I like the same lunch, pretty much same dinner, same breakfast. And then once I slip out, I'm like, oh, I'll go eat out today because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I also wanted to ask about what kind of mistakes have you made?
Mistakes?
Yeah, as you bought real estate, because I know I have made a
Man.
few. Right.
So buying real estate for investment or our offices or like all the mistakes?
Pick one.
Start with the early days. When the first house we bought was $47,700.
Wow. Where was this?
Bonnie Lake, out in an area called Lake Jane Estates. We could barely afford it.
Right.
I think interest rates were 11.5%, so it wasn't cheap to do.
So people are complaining about that, like that right now we're in the mid 7s and 8s and everybody's screaming.
Yeah, they're all complaining over that.
Right.
But we bought this house, and the reason we bought that price range is because we were paying rent of $500 a month. And I told the agent, I said, look, if you can find me a house where I'm only paying $500 a month, I'll buy it. And he did. 47.7, here it was. Even at 11%, 11.5, it was
Right.
right at about $500.
I think we really didn't have any money at that time too. So I think you borrowed money from your dad for down payment.
Yeah,
or
my dad gave me $2,000 to get
something.
started, so that was cool.
What were you doing then? Were you were not in real estate, I'm presuming?
No. Actually, I had my license, but I hadn't hung it anywhere. I had just gotten my license, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I had this other agent help me. And so the mistake wasn't buying the house. That was a good move. We lived there for what, 7 years?
Probably.
7
Wow.
years. Then we found another house in Federal Way that we bought that it was a friend of my dad's, and it was off market. It was a pretty good deal, so we bought that. And then we decided we'd keep this first house we bought as a rental. We put somebody in there. Of course, I fell for their story of it's a small young family just starting out. Well, they made payments for about 5 months, then they quit paying.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's mistake number one.
Right.
Not checking the credit and instead just buying into their story.
Right.
So we got them out and then just sold the house. So I didn't want to deal with it again. Then I also bought a house in Lee Hills in Auburn that my dad had. He was trying to sell it. We actually had it listed for him because by then I was in real estate. I had it listed for him and nobody wanted to buy it. It was around that same price. I think it was $43,000 or something. It wasn't very expensive, but it was kind of a dumpy house. Anyway, he couldn't sell it, so he had an assumable loan. So I assumed this loan for nothing. So he didn't make any money, but he couldn't sell it anyway. He wouldn't have made any money anyway.
Right.
So I ended up assuming that loan and putting the renter in there. Same thing happened. Another bad renter that didn't pay. So yeah, we learned the ropes by having really, I guess it's lower priced houses that tend to not attract the best renters.
Right.
But I ended up making like $5,000 on that because when I sold it, I let somebody assume it, and he gave me $5,000 and he assumed it, and we were good. And $5,000 back then seemed like a lot of money.
Yeah. Interesting. So, was there a property that you were buying either for personal or investment where you were like, yeah, this is good, or somebody told you it was like really good, and then it was just like, why did I do that?
Well, the only time I've ever felt like that is we bought a house in 2007, right at the peak of the market. In fact, we closed in July of 2007, and then we sold the house we lived in was it October?
Yeah.
Or September or October in 07. We got like a record price for that neighborhood.
Right.
But we paid a record price, I think, for the neighborhood we were buying in. It was in Browns Point. And that thing we paid $735, I think. Something
Sounds
like that. About $735. And that thing went down in value right because 08 hit. 08, 09,
Right.
10. And it dropped down to about $430. Yeah, it wasn't good.
That doesn't sound good at all.
It wasn't good.
But I will say, I mean, there's an amazing story coming around all of this. But when it was just like the perfect house at the right time, even though financially it didn't make any sense that we bought it at that time.
Yeah.
It ends up being just like a safe haven for us, you know, when the market shifted in '08. And a couple of things happened that were really unusual. And again, I think when you're on the path of doing what you're supposed to be doing, things like that just show up for you in life. But I'll let you explain what happened. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, I got a call out of the blue.
Yeah.
This New York accent guy. Hey, this is Vinny from you know, wherever. He is from IT Mortgage was the name of the company, and he said, "Hey, we're holding your second, and we can't sell it, and we just want to know if you want to buy it back." I said, "Well, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean."
Right.
He goes, "Well, you owe us $73,000 on the second, but we can't sell it, so we'll sell it back to you for," I think he said $42,000.
Right.
I'm like, that sounds odd.
Right.
I said, well, that sounds really interesting, but I don't know, I'll have to check that out. He goes, yeah, go ahead, check it out, but I'm telling you, we'll sell it to you cheap.
Right.
Like, okay. So I didn't do anything. A month later, he calls me back. He goes, yeah, this is Vinny again. You want to buy this second? I said, well, Vinny, I don't know who you are, and I feel like I'm about to get scammed.
Right.
I don't get it. So I need to check with my attorney.
Right.
He goes, yeah, check with your attorney. I'll call you back. He calls me back another month later, and he goes, listen, if you can do it now, we'll sell it back to you for $21,000. I owed 73. He was going to sell it back to us for 21. But we had to pay cash.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, I still haven't checked with the attorney, so, you know, you got to give me more time. So then I finally went and checked with the attorney, and he checked it out for me, and he's like, yeah, this is legit. You can actually buy back your second at a huge discount.
Wow.
I said, wow. Okay, so then Vinny called me again, another month, and he goes, okay, you want to buy this thing or not? I'm running out of time. I'm like, well, I said, yeah, how much did you say it was? He goes, yeah, well, it was 21, but now it's gone up to 24. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Let me think about it. He goes, okay, I'll call you in 2 weeks. He calls back in 2 weeks. Yeah, this is Vinny. He goes, listen, you want to buy this thing or not?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I want to buy it, but all I have is 23,000.
Right.
He's like, give me a minute. He puts me on pause for like 2 minutes. Comes back, goes, you got a deal, let's do this. So we were able to buy a $73,000 note back for $23,000.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? Almost $50,000.
Why would you think they do that?
What was '08?
Well, he called me, and it was '08 or '09. I think it was '09.
Oh,
Right.
And they couldn't. It was a secondary note on our house that they couldn't sell in the secondary market.
Right. So they just wanted to get out of
They
it.
wanted
wanted
out.
it out.
They wanted out.
Mm-hmm. And that, you remember in
Banks
'08,
were getting rid of it,
'09,
whatever they could get
Yeah.
rid of.
yeah, there was a lot of, just a lot of debt on a lot of houses, and people couldn't afford them anymore, and
Right.
and so there was a lot of foreclosures, so nothing was moving,
Right.
and so they had to get some of these mortgages off their books, and so that was a strategy they used. And the nice thing about that for us was Vinny was very persistent.
Yeah, he kept calling.
He kept calling back.
Right.
Sounds like
Wow.
somebody else I know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the story gets better because on the first note, so let's see, we paid $730. So what's 20% off of $730?
So 730 to 73, so 77 is 14, and 3 and 3 is
140.
6, so 146.
I love that.
146 off of 730 leaves what? 680?
Yeah.
About 680,000 left on the first.
He doesn't get how good that smells.
No, it smells good.
It's rose water.
Rosewater.
680,000 on the first.
Right.
I called up because I was in real estate, and they were getting mortgage modifications and short sales and all this stuff going on. I called my mortgage company and said, hey, I'm in real estate, and I heard about, I know that you're doing mortgage modifications for a lot of people.
Right.
I said, can I get a mortgage modification? They're like, well, you're not late in your payments. I said, yeah, I know. She says, well, if you're not late, you can't get a mortgage modification. I said, are you telling me not to make my payments so I can get a mortgage modification? She goes, oh, no. We're working on a deal where people that are making a payment can also get a mortgage modification. Yep.
Wow.
And I said, okay. So she goes, call us back next month. I said, okay, I did. So I called her back the next month. I said, can I get this mortgage modification? No, we're still working on it. Call me back next month. I said, okay. Call her back the next month. And it was at like 7.5% interest. Yeah. So I called her back the next month. She goes, okay, we got a deal that we can put you into this mortgage modification, but while we're setting it up, you have to make these payments. I'm embarrassed to tell you how much it was. $1,395 a month. You got to make these payments for the next 4 months. So I did. I said,
You gotta let that sink
great.
in for just a second.
I was
What was our
going
payment?
from, I think I'm going to say $4,500 a month
To $1,350.
to $1,395.
Okay.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
I said, okay, I did. I made the payments, no problem. And then finally she calls back, okay, you've qualified for the mortgage modification. Okay, what is it? I didn't know what it was.
Right,
I was
right.
making these payments they told me to make. Well, we're going to keep you at this $1,395 a month for the next 5 years. Your interest rate's going to be 2%. It's interest only, but you're at 2%.
Right. Free money.
And, yep. And but instead of a 30-year mortgage, you're on this 36-year mortgage or something.
Right.
It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
After 5 years, it would go up by I can't remember 1 or 2%
Right.
per year. So it was nuts. Now making that minimum payment didn't pay off any of the principal. Was the only problem with it. But
Right.
still, we went through the hardest time in the market with hardly any payment.
And that really helped us a lot because
we owned the business by then, and we weren't making money because
Right.
it was losing money every year.
So at that time, did you guys like had the
We
Peterson
already
office?
had, yeah, it was,
Right.
we started that in 05.
Were you still producing, or were you just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went from an office of 110 people to about an office of 58 people during this time frame, right? So there wasn't a lot of cash coming in from the office.
There was no
So-
cash. It was losing money.
Yeah. So what was great about the way that all that happened is it gave us the ability to like breathe a little bit and just kind of trust the process of where we were and just rebuild the company,
Right.
right? So it was such a blessing, and it just came from, I don't even know where it came from, but it was huge.
When they came to me and wanted to buy back my second, I realized, okay, these everybody's in trouble right now, even the mortgage companies.
Right.
So I thought, why don't I just be persistent the way they were with me about wanting to see if I could get a mortgage modification.
Yeah.
Sure
Right.
enough, they gave it to me.
Yep.
Wow.
You had to be persistent. You had to be on it every month, but it worked.
Well, and if you, I don't know if you were ever at that other house, Guru.
I was in the one overlooking the water.
Yes.
Yeah, the view
Can
was.
you imagine
it was
coming home to
fantastic.
that view every day and
It's
your
fantastic.
payment basically is $1,350 a month?
I'll pay it right now.
I know.
I just go there right
I
now.
know.
You keep saying $1,350,
Oh.
$1,395,
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. 45.
almost $1,400.
Almost 1,400.
But you can't. You couldn't even rent a house back then for that.
Or maybe an apartment.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy.
So those are some of the things that helped us along the way, for sure.
That's,
And then whenever we go somewhere, we had this little boat also during this time.
Well, yeah, we bought a boat in 2000, a little 19-foot Maxim. Bought it at the boat show. We were just like, yeah, we've made it. We've got a boat. And we'd cruise around Lake Washington, and we go into the canals, is what they call them, at
Right.
Newport Shores. And we drive in there, and there's these unbelievable yachts sitting out in front of their house, or behind their house, basically, on the water.
right.
And it's like, man, what do these people do for a living? You know, it's just crazy. And so we started dreaming about how cool it'd be to live on the water. And so that was always in the back of our mind since 2000, really. Or yeah, no, sorry, 2020, not 2000.
So did you think
No,
about like,
2000. Yeah, 2000. You're right.
so did you think about like where you wanted to go, like when you wanted to buy a house?
Well,
like
we
this?
really liked that area, Newport Shores,
Right.
Lake Washington. We really liked that. But man, those prices just kept going. You can't even touch that area now for under $8 million.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And during the downturn in 08, 09,
Right.
we saw a house in there it was a foreclosure for $1 million. But we didn't have the money because we were losing money. And it was like, okay, we can't do this. But man, now that same house would be $8 million.
So one question I do have is like, how much commitment and dedication is needed to be in a business?
Oh, what a great question. It's literally, you have to risk everything. That's how I think. It's like you're in 100%. You're either gonna win or you're gonna lose everything. I mean, that's how risky it can be.
So why do some people just don't do it? Why
That's why, because it's too risky. It's like, I don't want to do that. I mean, I could lose everything.
But is it too risky to not do it? Or is it then too risky to do it?
I think people can do just fine not being a business owner over time. I mean, they're going to be fine. The question is it worth being a business owner? And that's a really good question because, I mean, you can pitch in on this, but
I will.
you sacrifice a lot being a business owner. You're now, your life is other people's lives because you bring other people in and now it's their life. So every time you hire somebody, you're now responsible for them and you and the rest of the company and everybody else. So some of it, I mean, it's definitely more stressful than just having a job, but is it worth it? I mean, it has been for us. I don't know that it's worth it for everybody, but for us, it's been worth it. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
I'd say you got to really be willing to bet on yourself. And then a commitment isn't like a one and done thing.
Mm-hmm.
When things get hard, you have to recommit. You have to double
Yeah.
down. You really have to keep the purpose of why you did what you did at the forefront all the time.
Right.
And it's easy to lose sight of that in your day-to-day grind.
Yeah.
But it's worth going back and revisiting. So I would say keep your purpose in front of you all the time and just remind yourself why are you doing what you're doing? What's the impact that you're going to make? And I'd say, yes, when you bring people into your world, there is a responsibility that you have to them, but I would also say it's not just them, it's their family.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be their next generation. So
Right.
I personally love the idea of all of that. And that's kind of what drives me to get up every day and do what we do. Just love that.
So do you think all that hard work that you guys did over all these years, and is it worth it for this moment that I'm here in your kitchen cooking for you?
I would say yes,
100%.
but I haven't tasted anything yet, so I don't know.
You guys ready to taste the food?
Yes.
Yes,
All right, let's get it going.
Great.
let's
All
do
right.
it.
I am so...
Guru. Sorry, I'm a one-man fan over here.
Now I know who's going to enjoy the food more.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You'll know as soon as I taste it.
it smells so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I feel like I should just pour this and then just go away. Just eat it myself.
I'm fine with that. As long as you give it to me.
This looks so good. So are
Smell
you gonna try to cook something like this, Dennis? Have you tried?
Yeah, that looks pretty complicated.
Really?
I would
Yeah.
probably try to cook something like that. That would be like something I'd try to
Okay.
do for people who came over.
Let me explain
But I don't
something
know that it would be.
about Pam. Without a recipe,
Oh.
she's in trouble.
Yeah.
And she won't follow the recipe if there is one.
I think I'm the
Ooh.
spice of life. That's what I
You
am.
are the spice of life, Benny, for sure.
There you go.
Okay. Looks amazing. Girl. It looks amazing. And it smells even better. I mean, look at that.
Mm. Ooh,
Here we
Thank
go.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I got it.
Okay. The rice looks nice and fluffy.
Yeah, that's why you wash them.
Okay, what about this washing thing? I don't even know what you're talking about.
You gotta wash the rice.
What does that mean?
Okay, so the
Do
way
you put it in like a strainer?
No, you can put it in a strainer. I just put it, in the pan. I just put water in there, run my hand through it, and then dump the water, and I repeat that process 7 times. So by the time the 7th time, everything like the water will be clear. You'll know the rice is now clean.
Oh.
So when you cook it that way, not only will it look as white and right now, but it also tastes better because you got rid of all that grime.
Wow, I never knew.
It's okay. Still learning, Dennis.
I know. 65 almost and still learning.
For real. Gosh. Oh, looks so good.
All right, time to do a
Oh
taste
my
test.
goodness. All right. So what if I reject it? Does it go back to the kitchen?
No, I'll just eat it.
All right. Just checking. Just checking.
Yeah.
Got a feeling we're gonna eat all
It
of
looks
it.
hot.
It's yeah, just give it a
Give it a second.
give it a second.
Okay, hold on. Mm. Oh my God. Mm. Yes. So good.
Mm,
I think I can taste every spice.
dude,
So good.
that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're the man,
Mm,
dude.
mhm.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So good.
Thank you.
Are you gonna eat with us?
I will lead with this, but I got one more question before we go.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
So what are your current goals? What do you still want to accomplish?
Well, we're working on some things right now.
Yeah.
So, kind of expansion and our current goals are growing the business
Mhm.
and taking more vacations.
Which seem like opposites.
Any vacations planned for this year?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Where are we going?
We're going to Italy. We're going to take a cruise on a super yacht and with some friends, a couple friends. And then from there, we're going to do something that's out on my bucket list, which is the Camino de Santiago,
Where is?
That's
Portugal and Spain.
Yeah, for us, it'll be start in Portugal. It'll end in Spain. It's about 35 miles a day. We're doing it on a bike.
Yeah.
A lot of people walk it, but we're doing it on
Yeah.
a bike.
Wow.
So 35 miles a day for 7 days.
So you're gonna backpack and have all your stuff with you, or you're
No,
like
it's a
stopping?
little higher, more bougie.
It's a little bougie. It's a little
They
bougie.
take your stuff to the next 5-star place that you're stopping at.
Because I wanted to clarify, like, if you're really driving 35 miles,
Yeah, no.
and then with like backpacks on the back of the bicycle.
Okay, it gets better because
Okay.
we're using e-bikes. There's not
So
a
you're
lot.
like those people that say we want to go camping,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then they have a glamping. They're not really
They got
camping.
like a 40-foot,
No,
RV.
or they go up there and then they go back to the hotel, and then the next morning they come back up there. So,
Kind of like that.
I like
all
that.
right. Well,
Thank
I
you.
wish you all the best,
Thank you.
and then once again, thank you.
You're the man.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank
All right,
you.
enjoy your food.
Thank you. We will.
You're welcome. And
You're the best.
that's all, folks. We'll see you next time.